He is Shane Lachlan Black, the internet's original stunt writer.
Whoa, Camel! Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, Camel! Whoa! Oh, come on, whoa! When I say whoa, I mean whoa!
We are just now coming to grips with the events that shaped the catastrophe Generation X ran into head-on in the 21st century. We're the generation nobody ever talks about because we were fortunate enough to get a few years of relative peace in the America that was. We got out of school and got jobs just in time for the wheels to come off. That puts someone like me in a unique position to comment on just how far we fell. Many people mistakenly conclude the current glee with which executives are destroying jobs by the tens of thousands is new. It isn't. Those of us who were paying attention saw this coming a quarter century ago. You see, when you do everything right, and you step up to the hiring manager to get the job you earned, and you're not only told you won't be hired, but that your job is never coming back, it is understandable you might be a little confused. After all, you invested over 20 years of your life preparing to take adult responsibility. The only problem is there are bigger priorities in play, and that means you might not be allowed to become an adult. For me, the lights went out in early 2001, when I was ascendant in my technology career. One day I was a highly experienced and highly skilled technology professional, and the next I was permanently unemployed. Every traditional path to the accoutrements of adulthood, house, family, career, they were all gone. And the president was right. They weren't coming back. They never did. When I applied for jobs, again with cutting-edge skills, the phone stopped ringing in early 2001. I didn't have another interview until 2010. To say this was disorienting is being quite generous. Everything I had worked for since the late 1970s was gone. I was weeks away from being in a position to buy a home. And then I wasn't. This never happened to my parents. They were employed the entire time I was growing up. We never had to move. There was no such thing as layoffs. I grew up at a 4-bedroom house with a swimming pool and 200-foot pine trees in our 1/3 of an acre yard. I built an amateur radio antenna on that house. We raised parakeets. Our German Shepherd had puppies, one of which we kept. I had an honest-to-goodness clubhouse in the backyard. It had a shingle roof and carpeting. My father built a waterfall and a bar on our patio to entertain the frequent guests that came to our house for dinner parties and New Year's. Every night during the summer, you would always know what time it was because we could hear the fireworks at Disneyland at 9:30 p.m. We moved in 1986. I haven't lived in a house since. Unless something miraculous happens, I'll never own a home. Between us, my parents and I have 4 college degrees and identical work ethics. The simple fact is, they lived in a different world than I do. There are 2 Americas. The primary difference between them is, in the first one, I had a job. You see, Generation X was sidelined at the turn of the century. We were forced off the playing field and left on the bench. Nobody bothered to even talk to us after that. If you're my age, you know exactly what I mean. We were just expected to fend for ourselves. There were no first houses for us, no weddings, no vacations, no holidays, no family dinners or new cars, no careers, no money, no retirement. We were simply expected to wander off and keep our mouth shut. We will always be the first generation in American history to end up worse off than our parents. If my mother and father knew what happened to us, they would be appalled. They worked their entire lives to provide me with a good education and upbringing. They were both betrayed as surely as I was. The more we have our faces rubbed in it, the more obvious it gets what actually happened. The numbers are as clear as a bell. We watched 70 million jobs destroyed. $1 trillion worth of education wiped out. 10 trillion in GDP vaporized. When we politely inquired, we were told we have no marketable skills. So we deserve to have our lives destroyed. Our children deserved never being born. So if you are one of those folks who thinks our current circumstances are new and unique, here's a shout out from the folks born between 1964 and 1980. Blackout.
Shane Lachlan Black.